Good morning, and thank you for being with us. I'm honored to be with two esteemed personalities on either side of me. We're going to talk about creative economies today and the vision that probably Kerala has for it. And before I start, I just want to introduce to you that the idea of creative economies has been in India for a very, very long time, for centuries, but probably it's a discussion which is quite new. And regarding how we place ourselves, we have to understand that it accounts for 8% of our employment in India, and it also accounts for a very large chunk of our revenue generation. So there is a huge, huge possibility of what can be generated out of this. And our discussion today would be, let's start with the basics. Let's start with, how do you see the creative economy?
Thank you, Tanya ji. Thank you. It's nice to be here. I think we don't have to waste time on the normal niceties. Creative economy, I think that the term is probably, the way it is used is slightly new, but the idea of creativity has been as long as the human civilization. It has been there. Mahabharata has got a very beautiful two lines. It talks about the creation as such. It says, Bhuta Matra Indriya Dhyam Sarga Janma Udahrate. They say that these are the 16 elements which creates, all these, the Panjabhutas, the five matras, the sensory perceptions, the objects which give, which the sensory perceptions can take, and the five, your sensory organs, plus brain. Anything that you create out of it is sarga. This is creativity. So the cognitive revolution, whatever distinguishes the rest of the flora and fauna from human beings, the only difference is that the creativity is there in other flora and fauna also. Either they are connected with the habitat system. For example, bees have a beautiful living organism, or ant have it, and procreation related issues. That is also creativity. As different from it, it is only the human beings who have ventured into, because of the cognitive revolution, into various areas of creativity, both on the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. Of late, it is only the creative aspects, the art, culture, those kinds of issues which we traditionally, we link with creativity. But creative economy, they say, is slightly, UNCTAD has come out with a definition. There are various kinds of definitions on it, in which human creativity, of course, ideas, innovation, and also the element of intellectual properties, intellectual property rights, plus the ability to monetize it. Whatever is there is currently considered as creative economy. So now it is basically of the on the art, culture, heritage side, those kinds of issues. They say that there are 7 or 8 ideas. You're all aware that there are some seven basic, the art forms: painting, architecture, what they call sculpture, etc. All those 7 items. I'm starting ending it up to do photography and film photography, and then in as far as this creative economy fields are concerned, all these plus the new media, the digital medium. Now the entire thing, all the studies, etc., it says that all the modern economies, like, so be it South Korea, Spain, or Japan, everywhere it is the IT and IT related areas which are driving the entire digital economy, which are driving the area called creative economy. So there's a lot of human creativity involved in it, the ability to monetize involved in it, and also intellectual property right, and how do you preserve it. I'll end with that. We'll come to that later. There's no point in.
Ma'am, would you like to extend from there?
Well, so let's start with the 8% that you talked about.
Yes.
In Korea, it's about 1.9%. So, and in India, you actually see that maybe it's because our demographic is like that we have a much stronger youthful population, and it is in among the youth that you find that the potential for the creative economy is taken forward. So from India to Kerala, One is the fact, and as you were mentioning, um, one is the fact that it is the young. The second is the fact that there's got to be a lot of creativity in this, in the mindset, in the ecosystem that will enable people to venture into this. And that would require the ability to monetize. And interestingly, the gig economy, the digitization of this space, new media has given opportunities that are for much more than the traditional. I mean, uh, a lot of people have talent and capability and have products, but not all of them are able to showcase that and monetize this. The creative economy is also about how exactly do you convert that talent, those products, into something that can be monetized. And for that monetization, what would be the system that allows that enables that to happen? And moving on from India to Kerala, we would say, okay, what is it in Kerala that favors the creative economy? First of all, is the fact that Kerala has incredible creative talent, and this is something that you find. I mean, it's not just the Kerala who boasts of it. You find it in multiple spheres. You find people uh, um, from outside of Kerala also acknowledging the creative. Um, Maybe it's because of the culture that we have, or a culture which is inquisitive, a culture which is questioning. The argumentative Indian is best encapsulated in Kerala. And uh, and yes, so discussion, debate, deliberation, questioning, all of these are very critical to the creative economy. The second is the space also for the women, and the fact that women are traditionally again associated with all that has the potential of becoming creative economy. So you can look at, you talk about art, painting, music, dance, even architecture, going into cuisine, all these spaces. And now the latest of yoga or fitness, you take any which thing and you can link it to the creative economy. And uh, and the women of Kerala, again by virtue of having a lot more social space and standing, therefore are in a position to contribute more. This, coupled with the fact that our digital infrastructure is perhaps the best in the country. It is wide ranging, and we, uh, our space in the social media is just humongous. Our footprint is humongous. They are the yeas and the nos, and the attention that is given is again of an order of a higher order altogether. So all of these contribute to a lot of potential and possibilities for Kerala as far as this is concerned, and the fact that our startup ecosystem now is also very, very promising. With a startup ecosystem of the nature that we have, it is begging for talent to come, to take risks, to find itself, to monetize themselves and get going. So I would,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you for that. I'm going to go to the basics right now, but it's something I thought I would do it at the end, but because both of you have kind of touched upon it. One is creativity and the human mind, and the other, of course, is I want to speak about the need for the ecosystem to develop. So something that we've been working on is to see the impact of creativity on the brain, on the human brain. And we've seen that it's not just about economics, but it's much more than that. There is also emotion and mental health that is involved. So that's one aspect of it, which if you can tell us how we can kind of rope that into the whole idea of impacting the society, as well as using it as another form of, a tool for emotional health.
Look. Yeah. Tanya, you have
Are you
widened
getting
this.
here?
Yeah, you have slightly widened the scope of the question. That is fine. That's fine. See, let us look. I mean, the cognitive revolution is a topic of very great interest. What is cognitive revolution? A, a small dove or any small anything which comes in through a hole into this room, and you attack it, you go up, I mean behind it, it cannot go back through the same door. A dove or a small cat comes into it. That is a cognitive revolution beginning, because we know that we have come through it and I can go back through that. It is that understanding. People say that Neanderthal men, they were who ruled the India for, I mean, the world for 2 lakh years. The first and the last one used the same stone implement. 2 lakhs years, human beings were using the same implement. Think of it. I mean, the Homo sapiens came, and we don't know what that revolution is, changed it. And think of the last the 40 years, 60 years, 1960 onwards. What is this creativity? I mean, I'll come back to that question. I mean, it's so interesting. Human minds have always been there. We have always been, content had always been there. Even our grandfathers, their grandfathers, etc., they've all been thinking, they've all been loving, they've all been fighting, they've all been storytelling, they've all been, musing. But what is different from our generation? The difference is that the content has gone with the carriage now. Four things I called. I mean, we are on the side of the sea. So the story of that fisherman and the genie, the genie coming out of the bottle. No other place to say about that story better. There are four genies which have come out in the last 60 years, 1960 onwards exactly. First is the computer, then the internet, third is that phone, and fourth is the marriage of that internet telephony. Democratization of news, democratization of conversation, the de-Brahmanization of holding on to information.
So you're talking about the innovation that's happened because of creativity, and that's connected to the whole
Precisely,
idea.
that is it. You're talking about the how it can be used for the intelligence, I mean, emotional part, and how the create. See the looking at she was also mentioning about looking at the economic part of it. It was in 2013. I think UNESCO came out with the global mapping of the creative economy. It called Creative and Cultural Industries. It's called CCIs. The word industry is also very important. At the time, they say that it was. I have the details. I'll just not for being US dollar 2,250 billion, 3% of the global GDP, involving 29.5 million people. Last year, the same UN came out with saying that it is US dollar trillion. It is something tune of 6% of the world GDP. National GDP ranging between 2.2 to 7. In India's case, it is 2.5. UN is 2 trillion and 50 million people involved in this creative economy kind of a thing.
Yes. So if I may, yeah. So it's just that I'm looking at time.
I know the time.
So one of the things you spoke about is innovation, which is very important, and with regards to creativity and the human mind. And you spoke about the ecosystem, and something that we perhaps have an immense or immediate need for is education in that regard, whether it's cultural or art education, or the fact how do you manage the arts, for example, to create economy. So from the government perspective, do you see that as part of the vision of Kerala?
Yes, certainly. So what would you need to do to encourage the option of creative economy for the future? So first of all, you would need to bring in interdisciplinarity to courses from school onwards. You have to, the desire for exploration and the inquisitiveness, the ability to pursue different kinds of intelligence. It could be, it could be about mapping intelligence. It could be about your fascination with nature. It could be any kind of intelligence, and just being able to understand, appreciate, and push that. So for which you would need to have maybe courses or understanding on design thinking, creative thinking, critical thinking, all of these come together in actually enabling the mind to continue to expand. Our education systems, unfortunately, have a tendency of limiting the creativity and standardizing children, whereas the whole point is non-standardization, of being able to bring out the originality. So education would need to be able to do that. Teaching would be able to do that. So we would need to start with the teacher. We would need to start with the environment to be able to
Right.
change.
Yeah, so we have arts in education and arts education. I'm going to go to policy now, and I'd like your opinion on the sustainable development goals, and the fact that you spoke about women, and because you've been part of Kudumbashri and things like that. And we have a large percentage of women who are involved in the field of creative, be it arts, crafts, whatever it may be. And there is a possibility of leveraging the gap that exists between employment of males versus women in this particular sector, is what I am gathering. How would you see that, and is that a possibility that we can look at in Kerala?
Yes. So when I spoke about women, and particularly for women in Kerala, the one other element that a to be creative and to have is to have a strong sense of self-worth, b also to have freedom. So freedom in your social space will help in translating as freedom is in your personal space. And we've to the experience of Kudumbasri itself has been very tangible in that sense, because the moment you started collectivizing women and and incorporating the idea of autonomy, of agency, you found that almost side by side, you found that the creative expression of the women within the system was also growing. Women who would not dance danced. Women were a lot more free with their bodies. Women would so they found out intelligent and interesting ways of interpreting their reality and using stories and songs to actually give voice to that. So you do find that women coming into the creative economy is also a matter of the social ecosystem that is around them, and their capability of harnessing autonomy and agency.
And thank you for that. So going back to, I'm picking up from where Sharada ma'am left off, going back to the craft sector, or the traditional sector that we have in India. A large part of it is quite unorganized, and there is, yes, and there is a need to map the whole thing, and cultural mapping is something which states are doing at the moment. Kerala Startup Mission has just signed a letter of intention with the British Council, say about mapping the culture of Kerala. I know you have been involved in this field in some form. There are challenges, and it's a quite a difficult task, because we are an unorganized sector. And how would you view that, and where do you think the mitigation should happen?
Hello. Yeah. I'll take on from whatever the CS was saying. See, immediately the question of this informality of the sector, etc. All the studies about India talks about UNCTAD, UNESCO, all day. The biggest problem in getting ideas, I mean, exact data about the Indian context is the lack, or what they call shortage or absence of proper data in India, because most of our MSME sector, micro, small, medium, and which is a major, there are some 28 government agencies. I'm talking the government of India. I don't have much of an experience in the state government level, except for a small, off the cuff, understanding about the system. 28 departments, ministries, and major agencies which are working in the field of creative economy alone in India. And MSME, performing arts, culture, ASI, textile, you can name it, a large number of them. The biggest problem with all of them is the informality or the unorganized sector and informality of the data. That is one issue. Number one. Number two, I have a small, you also mentioned about the Kerala's, the women's empowerment and the startup ecosystem, Kerala. I have a small point of, I mean, you're not supposed to disagree with the chief secretary in an open forum. I also being a government servant. So,
You have every. It
CS is
completely
right.
within your right.
Yes, CS is right. Government is always right. I mean, in some other form, I am also government, so I know it. The position is you are also talking about the culture, etc. You see, culture is very important part of the creative economy. Now we are talking about the hardcore economics part of the creative economy, where ladies come, Sukudambashri come, etc. Navidya kena jidudhritam kalam. I mean, here there is no point. The art, okay, let me just art, culture, everything is of relevance only if it is of some need or purpose for me. What is in that for me is a question that the young students and youngsters of Kerala are asking. Let me differ with her. You know, Kerala, I mean, India, I said it is something to one of 8% of the workforce is in this huge amount. I have already given the statistics, etc. But in Kerala, it is only 23% of children who are staying in Kerala. It's a very important issue connected with creative economy. With all the plus points that she was talking about, we all are aware. There are institutional setups, there are event-based setups, there are cerebral institutions, and what you call celebrational and cerebral like all. Institutions, Kalamandalam is there, Kudiyatam is there, tangible and intangible assets are there. I mean, you know, event-based, this one, or Trishur Puram, or Kochi Binale, there are large number of cerebral issues also. But in spite of all these things, Kerala's tourism, Kerala's Ayurveda, Kerala's whatever we are all proud of, all of us Keralites are proud of, and the God's own country, sometimes like lightheartedly said, with devil's own people. Why is it that except in Kerala, the all India average of youngsters is 53%. In Kerala, it is only 23. So we have to comes to the government policies. Unless and until the creative economy or the cultural aspects are translated into for the use of those boys and girls who are in their prime of youth, in order to stay back in the state, we will not be doing it. Next question: what is it that government is doing? I'm not saying the government is not doing. I'm as much a government and I'm as much part of the government. It is not fashionable to say the government is. That's not the issue. It is the government which has been doing all these things. Institutional. I mentioned all these things. It's not there. But the problem is that we'll have to the data. Number two, much more the proper mapping of first of all government of India or government of Kerala, etc. 2005. The 10th five-year plan approach paper of the then Planning Commission talked about the need for a national mission for cultural and creative industries. Now I am told on culture, government is coming with a national, the Wade Summit, which is going to come up in a major way, where the Honorable Prime Minister is extremely concerned about the world, World Audiovisual and Environment Summit that is going to come up in order to take India. So the mapping is very important. What all are the areas where you need to work on the creative economy? That is one thing. Number two, intellectual property rights, which is very important. If I do something, I should get it. Then creating hubs. I'll request CS to think in very, very major way about, district-based centers. Let us have creative hubs, creative districts. Logan's Manual, at one point in time, Logan's Manual was very important. We got a lot of things. District gazettes of the Britishers. Now we don't have that system. Recently, a friend of mine, another of my batchmate was sitting in this, our common batchmate, he is working in the state of in Bihar. They have come out with, my request is that they have come out with reinventing Patna and Darbhanga, two districts. They are coming out with a district mapping, entire district. Let us think it in a major way. Cultural mapping.
Yeah, that's what I think Kerala Startup Mission is going to be doing, because we just signed the
district map.
MOU,
very
yes,
good, very
yes.
good. Thank you very much.
But
Nice to know. We all will be.
For
Yeah.
the CS. Three things which I see as somebody in the creative space that we require, especially from the government, is that how do we create the process? How do we nurture talent? Okay. So one is a nurturing talent. The other is creating processes for storytellers, and then the infrastructure. So these are sort of like three little ingredients that are so necessary for us to, start the economy and allow it to flourish.
Okay, so let me actually start off from where Mr. Nambudirippad differed, um, or apparently differed from me. I didn't quite see where the difference was. However, the fact is, yes, it is a fact that that there aren't enough young in Kerala. One is a case of demography. We've been doing population control real well, and so we've now ended up with replacement. We've passed the replacement. What do you say, target, and therefore now it's a case of diminishing youngsters and more senior citizens. So the seniors citizens of the state are increasing, and this is a trend which you see in advanced economies. uh, but there is also this question of, the young that Kerala does have, they also tend to migrate. Now, is migration a bad thing? No. It's certainly, they need to go to greener pastures. And today, the very fact that we are a global economy is that you can be, no, you can be working on a Keralite startup sitting in Bangalore or sitting in Helsinki. It doesn't really matter. So that in a sense also addresses this question. But then why don't you want to stay in Kerala? This perhaps has also to do uh, with the fact that underlying all of Kerala's progressive attitudes, there is also a very conservative society, a conservative society that that doesn't really cater to the needs and desires of youth that is looking for various kinds of entertainment and excitement, and they will go to those kind of places where they get that. What Kerala would need to do. So, by way of first step of all, we would need to be a little bit more open on that front. We would need to break some of our taboos and find ways and means of encouraging youngsters to actually want to stay in Kerala. A lot of the world wants to come and stay in Kerala, but our youngsters don't. So we need to find a way of getting them to be here. That's one. Now, coming to the question of infrastructure and processes, I'd already spoken about nurturing talent. So it's about experience. It's about uh, encouraging originality, encouraging difference, and applauding it. So that needs to come out so the systems need to be able to work on that. But we also need to be akin and um, attentive to new age creative economy opportunities. Like, for instance, I'm a great fan of Korean and Chinese, K drama and romances. But one of the things that I've been noticing is that you find that there is this entire economy around gaming. And yeah, so we've come up with an AVGC policy, but this is entire economy around gaming. You find gaming Olympiads happening, and it seems like the country of India is completely out of it. And why is that? Why don't we know? The moment you say gaming, immediately we say, oh, it's addictive, it's problematic, it's difficult. But again, the subtext that you read from these Chinese stories, interestingly, is that it's also about being able to push the idea of what it is to be Chinese. The culture of China is actually thrown out there in their gaming in the gaming scenario. So that was very interesting to there is no way my voice can beat the ocean, so I didn't attempt to speak then. But yeah, so like I said, there is this entire new world out there, which we need to be able to be ready to process and capture. We have an advantage. The advantage, the Indian advantage, as far as digitization, in as far as its knowledge of systems, of coding, of AI, of robotics, machine learning. You take it, we are up there. We just need to tie it up with our creative capabilities. What we really need to do is, it's the tech part we've got figured out. The creative part, the ability to encourage and find space for people of the creative economy to flourish. That is something that we still need to learn how to do. And one way would be, of course, promoting talent. But another thing would be, you see that, what is it? Nambudirippad was talking about the democratization of the creative economy, which is very important and very. So then comes this question of, how do you have your IP? How can you be protected? What are the? I mean, how do you get around the various? How do you say, the powers of the super platforms that in a way control who gets to see you and what gets to be seen and how it gets to be seen. So we need to actually learn how to navigate all of that. So those are part of the processes in order to be able to encourage our systems to come.
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things, which has been in discussion is, when you talk about the digital and we talk about tech, of course we have, like ma'am said, tech in concern with gaming, we have comics, we have film, we have publishing, a whole lot of a gamut of things that's in relation to tech. A challenge is when you look at investment, and when you have especially private investors, and they're looking for a certain kind of returns, whether it's a 10x return or a 5x return or whatever it is. The creative sector tends to be a little slower. If you take craft as well, and then you're putting it out on a digital platform to sell it across the globe, that's a challenge that people have been struggling with. And do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah. It's extremely important. See, out of the 6 or 7, all these UNCTAD studies, etc., are all talking 8 things that they are talking about what the governments of the day should do in order to stabilize, strengthen, or fortify the creative economy field. The second most important, first is the mapping. You have to, first, the state government of India, any entity will have to come out which all come under the category of creative economy. We all seem to be having a hazy idea, this can be. But how do you, what exactly with data and how to go about? That is one issue. Second is finance. Finance is extremely important because ultimately only certain people, that is why there's a startup, these kinds of missions, etc., are there. Then so many other 6, 7, 8 issues are there. Joint working, cluster groups, etc., etc. Finance is very important, I'm not saying. And it is not that government is, that's precisely the point I was trying to say. Since I'm representing the Ministry of Information Broadcasting, 2 major initiatives that Government of India now, as I was mentioning, 3 of them. One is this WAVE Summit, which is to come up in the month of April, end April. Government has been planning it for quite some time, because to place India as the creative hub of the whole world. All the points that she was also mentioning, that there are, incredible talent, the way we, and so it is being held in Mumbai with a lot of industry participation. Then a thought leadership discussion, 3-4 days. Prime Minister himself was taking. Then Prime Minister himself was taking a lot of interest, and that is it. So initially it was planned in Mumbai, Delhi. Now to do for industry participation, and Bombay being the creative capital, it is being held there. Number 2, along with that, government is also coming out with 2 major Indian Institute of Creative Technology and National Create in India mission. These are the 2 major initiatives that government is coming out. So with these, so let us understand it. 2005, the initial proposal had come. Government definitely works, but of course, it sometimes works slow, because a lot of things will have to be taken into consideration. All its activities will have to be, holding on to or keeping everybody together, etc. Finance is very important, and individual finance, wherever it is not possible. See, then that is one reason of the startup. I mean, large number of these students are also, we are also working in the startup ecosystem. The people with these kinds of ideas, coming out with the brilliant ideas, may not be good either in getting the finance or in administration of the whole thing or in networking. So these are the three areas where governmental, civil societies or NGO supports are required. There are large number of agencies who are working. I mean, youngsters who will have a brilliant idea, but they are out from the college. They don't, the finance is a big problem, as you very rightly mentioned. Then networking and also running the whole show. I can only have this idea. These children can, and system doesn't work like this. The people are not very, what do you call, kind to not being, it is processes driven also. So
Yeah.
this is a major issue. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I think we've sort of run out of time, so I have to cut our session short. It's open to questions. The floor is open to questions if anybody has any.
To Madam Sarada Muraleedharan. Madam, you mentioned in passing that China and Korea are the great game changers in gaming. My question is, what I gather is that in China, it is a cottage industry. So could the Kudumbashree in Kerala be trained in educated women coding, and then they could be trained in gaming also? So we can think of that. Another question, sir. Sir, recently somebody from the Nidhi Ayog said that ChatGPT or generative AI is a GDP booster. Could you please explain?
I leave the GDP booster to you, but the first question though, with regard to game.
Yeah.
Okay, it's come back. Yeah, with regard to gaming, it's not exactly cottage industry, but in terms of startup, it's a startup environment that has helped China in taking this forward. And how can Kerala do it? And I would like to. I'm coming in right from Davos. I was at the World Economic Forum yesterday, and also participated in a panel on Kerala startups and Kerala in deep tech. It was just fascinating to see the kind of interest that that the global, that you had fintech investors coming in. You had people who were already working in deep tech who were interested. And why were they interested? Because what they saw was that we are not just saying that we've got human resources. We have the evidence to prove it. We've got the institutions to prove it. We have state-of-the-art R&D institutions, some of which I am not aware of myself. So that was one part. The fact that our infrastructure is so good, the fact that we have, the MIT's single accelerator outside the country of USA is in Kochi. That kind of information and the knowledge of the people who made it, who spoke on behalf of Kerala, it was the attention was great. And what they said was that we're not marketing well enough. So it's also about, we want our us to become that space. We need to market ourselves better. We need to, because it is not that the investor is not coming here because they don't see the returns. They already are seeing returns. They're saying if they can see the returns globally, they should jolly well see those returns here in Kerala. But why they aren't coming is because they're not aware. It's plain and simple, the fact that they're not aware. They're not aware that there is an ecosystem that actually is very capable. And so it's, for us right now, the most important thing is about being able to push and tell that story. I would like to just talk about one more thing in terms of processes. The creative economy is, as I had mentioned before, while we try to look at standardizing largely our industry and bringing it down to norms, the whole thing about the creative economy is that it should be completely tangential. It should be something that is able to think outside the box, something that is a lot more freer than government. Government stepping in is also a recipe for control, which is something that we really don't want. We would like to encourage talent, foster talent, but then after that, we've got to look at, we only have to be facilitator. So what are the areas? One is IP, which is mentioned. The ability to hold on to your IP in this digital area, in this digital world, cybersecurity, the risk of being hacked, of being hijacked. All this needs to be, that is an environment that we need to put in place. So you've got the NFTs that have come in. There is an entire new discourse that is happening down there, which elders like me do not understand. And that is the world of NFTs, the non-fungible token. On the one hand, you also have the decentralized autonomous organizations, which are price bargainers for art and the creative industry. Again, which I have no idea about. But one thing that I do know is that they're happening independently, they are working with blockchain and the idea of blockchain. And we really need to perhaps use, we've got an institute of blockchain. So we've got to be able to look into these spaces and see how we can also look at enabling the digital universe that will allow creative economy to flourish.
Ma'am, I had a question. Ma'am, your daughter being a dancer and your son being an artist, do you think that, with so much talent in your family and you being a writer yourself, do you think that artificial intelligence can replace creativity anytime soon?
Honestly, I don't know. Ever since I watched iRobot, I've been horrified at the prospect of what the world is coming to and can come to. We were, at the start of the AI revolution, everybody was talking about how the creative economy would be the one that would be untouched by AI. But we find that today our images are, we find the Ravi Verma figurine starting to dance and breathe and behave, and we are all excited by that, and it's all AI. And there is, so that is a bit frightening. But what I think right now we need to do is to be on, get ahead of AI and use AI. Make AI dependent. Use it as a tool, just another tool that we can use in order to improve the experience that creative artists can give. That is for now. For the future, I really can't say.
Can I just respond to you? I don't have any prescription. My only humble suggestion is that please read two of these books. Most of you would have read. One is Harari's famous, The 21 Ideas for the 21st Century. Please read. Number two, Yanis Varoufakis, the French finance minister's book, The End of Capitalism. What killed capitalism? He is coming out with that terminology called techno-feudalism. Kindly read these two books. You may get some idea. And I also tend to agree with, I'm nobody to agree with him because Harari, that human beings on this surface of this earth is going to stay only for 500 years. It can't even be 1,000 years. We have made ourselves superfluous, absolutely unnecessary. Number two, more than that, a major burden on Earth, Mother Earth. We are the only, living organism which amass. We are the only one who put money in bank, not only for my child, also for his grandson. Build 3 houses. No one else does. So 500 years, you will definitely live through, but not your third generation. I don't know. Thank you.
Doomsday scenarios are also part of the creative economy.
Good morning, panelists. So in the panel discussion, it was discussed that a lot of students are migrating from Kerala, and that includes artists as well. So one of the scenario which I have noticed is that there are a lot of classical dancers from Kerala who are settled in Delhi and are getting the opportunities to represent Kerala and India in national as well as international spheres, whereas the artists from Kerala are not settled in Kerala, are not getting that much opportunities. So, what steps can be made through advertising and marketing and monetizing to bring these artists to the international sphere, as well as how that can benefit the economy of Kerala?
Okay. So, first of all, I'd like to say that uh, in we do not have a metropolis of the nature of Bangalore or Delhi. And am I audible? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So, as Anne had mentioned, being the mother of a dancer myself, there is a reason my daughter is settled in Bangalore, and only in Bangalore. It is a fact that in the contemporary dance art scenario, there is no other city that she can actually go to, because you have a culture, and it's a very small subculture there, which promotes and encourages contemporary dance. You don't know. It's not like you find that in Nagpur or in Chennai or in Thoothukudi or in Kochi in Kerala either. So these are things which are extremely avant-garde, which will come up only if you've got that kind of a metropolis which has that kind of a cosmopolitan outlook. And second is the fact that you want to be noticed abroad, then you need to go to those kind of places where you will be noticed. It is not as if the dance scene in Kerala is non-existent. Of course there are opportunities, but those are local opportunities. It depends upon what you want and where you're positioning yourself and how you position yourself. Of course, the fact that today we've gone digital also means that you might still be a local artist somewhere in a village in Kerala and still get picked up internationally. That is an opportunity that we didn't have before, but we do now.
Let me just try to add to it, because I've been living all these years in Delhi. You have got Kerala Kalamandalam, very famous, which is the mascot of Kerala. You also have International Center for Kathakali in Delhi. I happen to be the president. I'm patron. That is why. Started by Sardar K.M. Panikkar, etc. in 1960. Dr. Rajendra Prasad inaugurated it. The difference between, I just want to answer to that particular question about this. When internationally looking at the particular case of this Kathakali, of course, Kalamandalam is a first choice. But ICK artists, Kirpadam Kumar Nair was there, Sadaram Balakrishnan Ashan was there, down. It has something to do with the word industry. That is precisely why I said CCI, creative and cultural industry. That word industry is very, very important in these things. Why her daughter or somebody in Bangalore or in Chennai or in Karnataka, in Delhi is getting picked up is because of the quote unquote.
No, not.
Sorry?
Please don't say she's getting picked up.
No, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is that, the people. Sorry, I didn't mean to be personal, etc. No, not that. What I say, the industrialization, the sense, the commercial connectivities, ability to reach, the address. Of course, the other point that CS was mentioning is also important. You can be in a chow dancers who are there. It is there, but it is a facility. Facilitation is more important. So that is what these kinds of. So after that, Kalamandalam, it is ICK people. As compared to that, a very good artist who is in Kavalapara or in Ottapalam or even in Patanathetta or Adur, artist all by himself may not get it. It has something to do with the way the commercialization, the whole process goes.
No, not just that. The Delhi is our capital, and that's where our the council, the embassies are, the councils are, where the
opportunities.
What do you say? The opportunities, the networks are, and it will be people who go into that kind of ecosystem who will get noticed first. That's par for the course. But what I'm saying is that no longer holds completely true anymore, in the fact that you've got the social media, new media, which is being able to throw up people who have nothing to do with Delhi.
That's true. That is the de-Brahminization or democratization that we mentioned. Somewhere small 3 minutes Insta or a 1 minute social media becomes the rage of the whole country. It can be in somewhere else. So everybody, everybody is a medium, messenger and target kind of a thing. So it does not. But networking is very important. And she was also saying that people wanting to know, need to know, requiring to know about this kind of a setup, so that commercial industrialization comes in there. That's it. That could be the reason why these young children go out also. They know it.
Hi panelists.
You should answer that.
I think there is, it is, see, as far as tourism is concerned, there was a time when Kerala tourism, I should not be taking names, etc. Kerala tourism was the vanguard of it. But no more it is so. Sitting in Delhi, I know, we have been interlocuting with various states. Now, large number of states, Bhubanesh, Odisha came up in a way, Gujarat came up, Ahmedabad, what do you call Gujarat, Rajasthan came up, Northeast is coming up in a major way. So what I'm saying is that there are institutional issues. Yeah, let me just take, Northeast. There are three institutions, two institutions that I would like to mention. There is a very beautiful, I don't know how many of you people have been to Shillong. Any person who, a large number of Malayali, padres, that is Christian missionaries. The Don Bosco Museum in Shillong is a beautiful example of what an institutional setup can do to enhance creative economy. It is a 7-floor building, 70,000 odd square feet, where the entire northeastern, 200 odd languages, 200 odd tribal cultures. You wanted to say something? No. Yeah, it has been set up. That is one thing. Number two, the Hornbill Festival of Nagaland, that is Kohima. It has gone just now 25 years. It's gone past. It is every year the date is fixed, 1st January to 1st December to 10th December. So the way they are, so I don't think that, coming back to your question, you cannot say that there is one state which is a model. They're all the richness or the strength of states are different. They're certain that the so-called deficiencies of, the way we look at it, are the strength of some other places, people. There are people who would like to do that. So there is no a direct answer. That is the whole issue. We can also do that. We do have, these kinds of, what do you call, Madhubhumis or this KLF or all these Kochi Banale, all these events are there. But our problem is, unlike in the Kohima's, what do you call, Hornbill Festival, etc., a fixed date, the exact correct, frequency with which it is happening, and a lot of government support and the entire establishment, both governmental, non-governmental, standing behind it and showcasing it for the. I am aware of hotels or rooms, etc., which they sell out, operate only for 10 days in Kohima city, because in 10 days time they can make the money. They say that it is much easier. Otherwise, nobody goes to Kohima. There is hardly anything to see. We can't even engage 2 or 3 people to take care of the house, close it up. And in 10 days time, they make something to enough. They, do it out for foreigners. They come and pay in dollars, etc. It is good enough. So the way people look at it are totally different. We have to do that. And it is not the Kerala is
But
not
I
doing.
think, I think we should be looking at some international examples. Like, for instance, Avignon, or how Shakespeare, Stratford-upon-Avon has been transferred into this complete experience of what Shakespeare is. And maybe we need to do that with our places as well. So learning how to do that. As far as, I don't know, in terms of tourism, in terms of museums, in terms of communities, communities of practice, we actually right now continue to be ahead of the country. The very fact of the Kochi Biennale, which was created and which has brought in an entire new installation art into Kerala, and surrounds that with our promotion of heritage. So, there are always interesting models that we can build up, that look at international and national examples and take from there. Thanks.
point CS was mentioning. No, we have not mentioned anything about Kerala. I mean, Kozhikode being the first city of literature, UNESCO approved, and this is the first year after this kind of a thing. The point, I mean, Stratford upon Avon, etc. She was mentioning. We have to do, I mean, connecting it with MTs or Shirusheris or Urubs or, I mean, the entire, the Malayalam, the Kerala, the Calicut literature. We have to monetize it, sell it. We have to, I mean, sound showers, flip books. People can go there, read it, a circuit, and how to do. Unless and until you do that, it is of no relevance. With this, I'm sure that we'll be meeting there is a meeting with the mayor also. I'm sure that they'll be talking about these matters. Wish you all the best, and thank you very much. I mean, great talking with CS here, and Tanya ji, thanks.